good morning. Everyone to today. God is good and God is good all the time. I have a little shout word on for this. It's not long, we're still doing Bible study. This one here, Jacob blesses his sons, and Jacob had 12 sons. So we left off yesterday that Joseph had two sons. His father wanted to bless. We see that Jacob had wanted to bless the youngest child, but Joseph had wanted the oldest child to be blessed, and we see that was a generation that they always blessed the youngest one before the oldest one. So today passage that Jacob had 12 boys, that he wants to bless, and their name all means something of Jacob's life. So I'm not gonna read all so boys meaning of their life, and you may, if you want to read it and go through it, it's gonna be Genesis chapter 49 verse 1 to 28. It tell you all the meanings of their name in the story. He gonna give instruction. He gonna read all the meaning of their name before he even bless them. So Jacob called his son. The story gonna come from Genesis 49 verse 1 to 28. Now Jesus called. Look at me, Jesus. Jacob called his son to gather around. So he can tell them what's going to happen in the days to come. Because Jacob is old. He weakened right now. So he giving all these instructions before his time come. So Reuben Jacob first, born son. He's the oldest son. His name is the first sign of his strength, of Jacob's strength, reselling in honor, and power. So now Jacob is telling them that their name have a meaning, and then Jacob finding words to his sons, and before he blessed them, you know, uh, the significance of Jacob blessing his sons. History, history, Jacob blessing is of the greatest value, both because it is the only source of information, for a certain time like this. Now, the tribes of Israel, the reason why, the name afterwards the name gonna come to be the Israelite, because you remember when Jacob had wrestled with God, God had changed his name to Israel, and then these children are his children, that will be enslaved, so by his name is Israel, his offspring gonna be the Israelite, so Jacob had 12 sons, you know, 12 sons between Lee had no numerous of children, and plus her slave had children with Jacob, and then Rachel had two of her own, and she also had her servant, to have sex with Jacob and had children, all a total of 12 kids. So the Israelite are the offspring from Jacob, each being the ancestor of the tribes and named after him. So after Joseph, you know, and all the Joseph brothers had moved to Egypt, their family increased. So it was 12, brothers. All it was 12. But once they moved by Joseph, they increased. They increased, with wives and more children of their own. So family increased and they become the people of Israel. So they are the sons of Israel. Since Jacob had been renamed Israel when he wrestled with God. So when the Israelites take possession of the promised land, each tribe is assigned specific territory. So that's why he instructing them. Your name means something, because when you possess your land, it gonna go by your name. It gonna go by the meaning. It gonna go by the territory of where you gonna be located at. So Simon, and Levi, it's not listed. You know, Levi became the priest. They gonna be the priest. You're gonna hear that more when they be released from Pharaoh. You're gonna hear the Levi. and Samuel, they're gonna be the one. They're gonna take hold of the altar, and God ain't gonna want nobody else to deal with it but them. And then they're not gonna really have a possession of income, but they're gonna have an income from um God gonna have all of them to get them a 10%. See, they're the priests. There's the priestly line for the Israelite, and therefore was seen as a distinction from the other tribes, and the tribes of Simeon, Levi and Simeon. You remember Simeon was left behind with Joseph, until they bring his youngest brother with them, you know, and you have Levi, so Jacob had 12 sons. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Zebulun, Asher, Shel, Dan, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Joseph, and Benjamin. And, after, Joseph's mother, Rachel, after she had Benjamin, she had died. So she had two children of her own. So Jacob blessed each of his sons, and then he made predictions about each one. Future. He predict each one on future. You know, and the way the men had lived had played an important part in Jacob's blessing and prophecy. So the way they had lived, you know, that's what Jacob had. Jacob did blessing because Reuben had sex with Jacob servant. So a double portion of his blessing was taken away. So he only had got a small portion of blessing. Because see, Jacob blessed them according to how they had lived. So the oldest son was supposed to receive a double inheritance. You know, but Reuben lost his special honor, and trust and worthy, especially in his youngest days when he had gone so far as to sleep with one of his father's servants. So all the while Jacob was paying attention to his children the way they was living. And you remember they ain't saying nothing about his daughter. But you remember I put a package out when Satan man had raped his daughter, and Reuben and the other brothers had killed everyone that was in that town. They ain't spoke of the daughter. They ain't spoke of him blessing the daughter. I don't hear no more about the daughter. But remember, he had one daughter, from Lee. Lee had that one daughter. She had stopped. She had four of her own and stopped and had the servant that had sex. Then she stopped and asked Rachel could she have sex with Jacob that had that one more child, and that one more child was a girl. But I don't see anything about his daughter, But all the while, a lot of parents pay attention to their children, the way they live and the things they do. We see that Jacob did, and he blessed them according to what they deserve, or how they represent themselves as they was living, so Jacob had blessed all 12 of his sons after he finished naming their names and what it means and stuff like that. That's when he blessed all his children. All 12 of his children was blessed. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And you remember when Jesus came along, then he had 12 disciples. It's something about that 12. He had 12 sons. Then he got 12 tribes of Israel. He had 12 disciples. So it giving each the blessing of poverty to him, approving to him. So we see that Jacob, that's why I said there was a short package. It was pretty much about Jacob blessing his sons according to how they was living. And we see that Reuben, he was his oldest son, and most of his portion of inheritance was taken because his disobedience, what he did, slept with Jacob's servants, also, and also how they throw Joseph in the pit. So I ain't read all the meaning. That's why I said y'all might can go through and read all the meaning of their name. But a lot of effect what they did to Joseph when he thought his son was dead. And then Reuben, the little stunt that he did. So Jacob paid attention to how his children was living and blessed them according to that. So that's all the word I have for y'all today. It was Jacob blessing all 12 of his sons, and all 12 of his sons' name had the meaning of his life. And he also blessed them according to how they was living. Some portion was taken away, some got gained. Because we see the last phrase I put out before, Joseph had got blessed by Jacob. So that means Joseph had got blessed twice. Because a lot of the years was taken from Jacob and Joseph of being father and son. Joseph had went through Joseph had went through so much and had to go through without his father. And Jacob had mourned for so long for his son that he thought was dead. So Joseph had God blessed, early on, but then we see here he got blessed again. You know, for the time that was wasted, that there was apart. So that's all the story I have for you on today. That Jacob had blessed all 12 of his sons, all 12 of their name had a meaning to it. He also blessed them according to how they had lived on this earth. So y'all have a blessed morning, have a safe day, and I see y'all on the next video.